Good evening, goddesses, and welcome to the Not Your Love Coach podcast. I'm Josie, and for most of my life, I've been either head over heels in love or picking up the pieces. Over the years, I lost myself in my partners, and I neglected my dreams. But at 46, after yet another painful breakup, where I got replaced faster than my kids can mess up the house, I realized it was time to focus on me, to love myself unconditionally, and live my best life. This time, I'll win the breakup, follow the rules, and keep it classy, or at least try. This podcast is a bit of a therapy for me. Am I qualified to give you advice? Fuck no. But if I can help you get through your own heartbreak with some laughs and shared lessons, then welcome to my mess. Good evening, goddesses. I hope you had a fabulous day. I don't think that I've told you this, but on top of being a fake expert in breakups, I've also got a degree in dating apps. I was dating online way back when. You know, when people were worried about ending up dead in a ditch every time that they met someone online? I dated online for so long. I even dated the same guy twice over a period of 10 years. So the guy was in the military. We both played basketball in high school and we had friends in common. On our first date, he took me to a military gym to play basketball, and I thought it was such a great idea for a first date. I don't remember how many dates we had, but I do remember I really liked him. So, of course, I refused to sleep with him. That's a dating rule for another time. But surprise, surprise, he disappeared. He reached out to me again 2 months later and told me that he had been deployed and was not allowed to say anything. Of course, I didn't believe him. But then 10 years later, I connected with him again on Tinder, but I did not recognize his profile. When we met at the restaurant, I remembered him instantly. He didn't. I was a bit hurt, or my ego was. As it turns out, he had been deployed for real. Oh well, it still didn't work out. And funny enough, another 5 years later, our paths crossed again. This time, he did recognize me. Online dating is really something. I dated a guy once who seemed really nice on our first date. And then on our second date, I was really sick. I'm telling you, it was a man cold. And then I told him, he insisted on bringing me soup. And I thought, oh, so sweet. So he shows up with a Thai soup that was actually delicious. And then he asked me bluntly if I could give him a blowjob. Yes, you heard. Second date, blowjob. Even if the act would not have been dangerous for my life, I was hardly breathing with an empty mouth, I was not going to give him a blowjob. Who in their right minds would ask such a thing on a second date? There's also that dude who sent me not one, not two, but 5 pictures of his penis. Have to give him credit. You have to be very creative to manage 5 different angles for that shot. He told me that I started it, but the picture I sent him, you could only see my right shoulder. Seriously. There were the guys who would go crazy on rants, calling me a bitch because I did not respond within a few seconds to their last message. I went on a date once, and after just one drink, I excused myself to go to the bathroom, and I made an escape. The guy gave me goosebumps, and my instincts screamed that he was dangerous. So sometimes ghosting is necessary. All that joking aside, the question of the day is, when should you start dating again after a breakup? Is it 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months? According to the internet, it should be when you're ready. Easy said. So here's the thing. I'm a self-confessed codependent. Every time I go through a breakup, I dive headfirst into the online dating pool. But recently, I had an epiphany. This isn't exactly the healthiest approach. Instead of healing, I was just keeping myself busy with endless messaging and first dates, sometimes seconds, but rarely thirds. Then I'd meet someone special and jump right into a new relationship. But as a codependent, I have this knack for blending into my partner's life like a chameleon. Like many of you, I'm sure, I have some classic daddy issues. My dad was pretty much MIA during my childhood. I'm a firstborn, and he wasn't ready to be a dad when I was born, so he was a bit jealous of the attention I got from my mom. When I was a teenager, my parents finally called it quits. My dad moved away and we stayed with my mom. My dad wasn't exactly winning any Father of the Year awards, and my mom had to take legal actions just to get some little support. Mom did a fantastic job with us, and I just grew up without a dad and barely noticed his absence, so I thought. So, as a little girl growing up without unconditional love, the kind I should have gotten from my dad, unconsciously, I started adapting to my partners. I would do everything to become indispensable, molding myself into what I thought that they wanted or needed. In the process, I lost sight of who I really was. I was doing this because deep down, unconsciously, I was convinced I was not worthy of unconditional love. I had to work hard for it. The irony? My partners often fell for the real me in the first place. By trying to adapt and please, I ended up losing my identity and becoming less of the person they loved. And it seems pretty natural that they would lose interest. And on my end, I was dying a little bit every day to the point where I had no passions for myself other than to please my plus one. This podcast project is so good for me right now because I'm rediscovering what makes me come alive. Not that I didn't make the same mistake when I split from the pilot. The same day I moved out, I invited the skydiver over. He's the guy I dated briefly before the pilot. And I had a very specific plan in mind for the night. Fortunately, he was a gentleman, and all I got was a shoulder to cry on. So beautiful, goddesses. I think that the decision to get back on the meat market is really a personal one. I would just say that it's important to take the time to heal, to take the time to reflect on your last relationship and figure out what went wrong and what you can learn from it. Check your motives. If you're trying to fill a void or to avoid being alone, or even if you just want to hurt your ex, it may not be the thing you need right now. Often, when you start dating too soon, you can't help but to compare everyone to your ex. That should tell you that you may need a little bit more time. But once again, my beautiful souls, do your best and have empathy for yourself. Remember that the only person who can't abandon you is yourself. So when you do let yourself down, pick yourself up again and carry on. You'll make it through, I promise. If you're going through a breakup or just having a tough time, remember this. It may not seem like it right now, but this challenge is a gift, a powerful catalyst for your personal growth. Embrace the journey, learn from the pain, and let it drive you to become your best self. Make him regret ever letting you go. Until next time, trust the process. You're a goddess.